It is that time, Mets fans. It's that time for the first time in what's going to be endless times this offseason that you hear me say the Japanese phenom's name, Roki Sasaki. Yes, you heard that correctly, folks. The Mets are not only reportedly connected to the Japanese right-hander at 22 years of age, making me feel old already, but we're talking about a guy that is atop the Mets priority list, to say the least, should he be available as soon as this offseason posted from his club there in the NPB. So I got a two-part question to all you guys before we deep dive this latest reporting, where it comes from, how credible it is, and ultimately what is there to know about Roki Sasaki should you not know the Japanese phenom and his game as a flamethrower right-handed pitcher. I want to know, one, when do you expect Roki to get posted? Will it be as soon as this offseason or maybe potentially next year? And secondly, what is your confidence level in the Mets being actually able to land Roki versus him landing elsewhere with one of the more familiar teams that we could see that we're going to break down in today's video? Let me see in the comments down below, folks. Smash a like and subscribe on your way in, as always. And before we break down this latest report, let's get into our amazing sponsor, as always, here at BetUS, that has you covered with all your sports betting needs. In case you guys don't know BetUS already, let me enlighten you, because we got you covered here, folks, by using Wardy's promo code YouTube150. Use our code at YouTube150. That way you too get 150% bonus on your first deposit, $125 on your second and your third, up to $2,000 for all your sports betting needs. And as you guys can see here, I'm absolutely hammering a lot of picks for the big fight card this weekend, UFC 308. If you guys are followers on the channel, you know how much of a fight fan I am. With the Mets no longer in play, we're going to be hammering NBA picks, NHL picks, NFL picks, you name it. But this weekend, we're hammering big time in the fight game for UFC 308. You guys can tail all these picks for a big parlay should you wish. You just want to tail a couple, you want to tail none, that's fine. But make sure that you bet responsibly by going to betus.com.pa. And as you guys can see, looking at the main card here with Max Holloway, Ilya Topuria. Max Holloway is currently the BMF champ. If you guys know what that title means, it's the baddest you know what. Ilya Topuria there is the current champ as well in his weight class, so they're fighting for that title. Topuria coming off of a big win against Alexander Volkanovski. Max Holloway has fought Volkanovski not once, not twice, but 3 times. Big fights between the two, and now he's looking to potentially avenge a guy that he's had really good battles with there in Ilya. As much as I love Max, I am hammering him here. There is bias with this, as Max is an absolute bulldog and Ilya is really a young, fresher version of potentially what we could see toe-to-toe here. So it wouldn't shock me if Ilya wins. So that's one where I say it's a coin flip, what you guys want to decide, but I'm going with my guy Max here, because I absolutely love him. Khamzat Chimaev is an absolute animal, and as good as Robert Whitaker is, Chimaev, when healthy, he's finally healthy because he's dealt with a lot of ailments the past couple years, is one of the best fighters, if not the best fighter in his division. We're hammering him there at the money line at -255. And Dan Ige with a very respectable fight there against Diego Lopez, winning the final round between the two there, fighting in the Noche card that we saw there in the Sphere in Vegas. I'm going to go with Dan Ige as the underdog here against Lerone Murphy. We have a couple other picks as well, but this is a big parlay that's 10 to basically win you north of $1,000. Again, we have like 6 picks in here at least, so again, feel free to tail whatever picks you guys want to tail, and we're going to hammer here on all these individual bets of at least $10, and then there on the parlay. So hopefully, if everything hits, we're coming out with a grand. If not, that's okay. We had fun doing it. But now let's head back into breaking down the latest with, yes, the Mets and Roki Sasaki. Because as we know, with Roki Sasaki, everybody, this is a phenom we're talking about. This is a guy that has been absolutely lighting up the lamp, and it's hilarious that we're talking about him now, because I know many Mets fans are going to say, Wardy, this is a guy that we've spoken about not long ago throughout the Dodgers Mets NLCS series. Went on that topic, and I told each and every one of you, listen, there isn't a chance in heck Roki is coming here barring changes. But listen, changes have started, reports are coming out, and obviously anything can happen. But I will preface by saying that this does feel like a very early similar situation to what we may have had there with Yoshinobu Yamamoto. I'm going to expand on that here in a second, but simply, folks, we see the reporting here first began from, yes, that's going to be none other than, yes, you guessed it here. And actually, I'm going to flip this real quick, that way I have a better graphic to show each and every one of you. So let me just do that right here right now. There you go, folks. And this is from Jim Bowden, so something to bear in mind. Jim Bowden, former MLB GM, who currently writes there and does great work for The Athletic, is not someone that I personally view as credible when breaking down, okay, where he personally believes the player is going to go, because he's been wrong 9 out of 10 times from everything I've seen over the past couple years. But something that Jim has been right about and has been genuine about is when he's been referring to some of his sources. And this is what he has to say about all the latest on Roki Sasaki at 6'2" and just under 190 pounds. It is unclear if Roki Sasaki's team in Japan there will allow him to leave for the MLB this offseason, where he'll be posted. He can't sign a max contract. He'd have to sign an MLB minimum contract given his age and given the stats there. It's basically like early exemption there, basically from the NPB, and whoever would acquire him would have to pay their costly fee there to the NPB team if anything. If I could be wrong, let me know in the comments down below if I misspoke on that front, however, but we should know soon. If he is coming, he will be the most coveted international free agent, as the Dodgers, Mets, Yankees, Red Sox, and Diamondbacks all committed significant resources to scout him just this past month, including sending top executives to see him pitch. So as we actively speak, the Mets have been heavily involved in the Roki Sasaki front. Now, this shouldn't come as a surprise to anybody. Sasaki has been on the Mets radar going well over the past 2+ years. Really, since Billy Epler came in as the Mets initial GM, he was not only enamored with Kodai Senga, who the Mets managed to land there, over other teams on a very team-friendly contract, especially now that he's not able to basically opt out of his contract after the next couple years because of how many innings that he missed this past year. That really sets the Mets up for the future on them trying to pursue other Japanese players if Kodai Senga can have any positive influence in making that happen. Now, the Mets still having Senga looking for a healthy 2025, they're going to not only try to utilize Senga's abilities to scout as much as possible, but ultimately everyone else in-house, as there has been a night and day difference from what Steve Cohen is doing to what the Wilpons used to do, and going out of their way to go try to acquire these international free agents. Mind you, this is the same Steve Cohen who personally went out of his way to fly there to Japan and have multiple meetings there with Yoshinobu Yamamoto, and the Mets had the best offer on the table for Yamamoto, but he took that offer and got it matched by the Dodgers because he always wanted to play in LA and certainly want to be there with Shohei Ohtani. And that gets to the greater discussion on, okay, if you're going to land Roki Sasaki, how are you going to be able to pry him away from the LA Dodgers and potentially the San Diego Padres, basically all the other teams there and the NL West? And that's not going to be an easy feat. However, if there's anything that the Mets have up their sleeve, it's not only Kodai Senga, but it's an owner and a GM that have shown a further willingness to really go out of their way to try to show an appreciation for a player, and their run this past year cannot be understated. So outside the Dodgers being the Dodgers and having, again, two of the best Japanese phenoms in themselves in Shohei Ohtani and Yamamoto on the roster, if we're excluding those obvious factors, there are still some that could go in the Mets' way, especially if they can find somehow some way to get Roki Sasaki to prioritize wanting to be the face here in New York versus being one of the many faces there in LA, where he will not be the guy that everyone's going to be glued on every single night. He will be basically the second, third, fourth player on an average night outside the times that he's out there starting. So something to bear in mind. Yes, I know, how can you not want to be with the Dodgers and Ohtani back in that rotation? I understand. But now let's talk about Roki Sasaki a little bit more, and what he could bring to the table for this Mets team, because there's no denying that if he could bring anything, it could certainly be something special. When I say something special, I really think that this is a player that can do wonders for not only the Mets, but for any team that would have the luxury of acquiring someone of Sasaki's talents here. I mean, this is one of the guys that has dominated the NPB over the past couple years, but he made his United States debut, we saw there, as just a 21-year-old a year and a half ago there against some of the best hitters that you will see in the game, and he took them down with ease. Sasaki this past season in the NPB, as you guys can see, 18 games, 111 innings pitched, a 2.35 ERA, a 0.2 home runs per 9 allowed, a 2.6 walks per 9 to a 10.5 K per 9. You're looking at the fastball that touches high 90s and has even topped out throughout his career 102 to 102.5. I would like to preface, however, that this is the same Sasaki who did have his velocity fluctuate plenty throughout this past season, and he definitely utilized his slider more to really kind of help balance things and make sure that he's avoiding more serious injury at such a young age. This guy throws absolute gas. When he was pitching the WBC, he was consistently throwing high 90s there, touching the early hundreds there on the gun. The sinker touches the high 90s as well. The slider, the same exact thing. Again, you're getting a flamethrower right-hander with at least a 3-pitch mix that can be absolutely deadly, where you simply don't know what you're getting. Are you getting 100 up and in, or are you going to get there that nasty slider with so much break there down and away to those right-handed hitters, or back foot there depending on to those left-handed hitters? So Sasaki, he dealt with some ups and downs that we saw over this past season, but this is because of how immaculate he's been at such a young age. Throughout his career there in the NPB and just pitching in Japan overall, 69 starts there, 414.2 innings, a 2.02 career ERA, a 0.3 home run per 9, a 2 walks per 9, and over 11 K per 9 for a sub-1 whip and 524 strikeouts, 129 in just 111 innings so far this year. I mean, listen, we know the guy's good, but he's beyond good. He's very special. Basically, imagine Yoshinobu Yamamoto, but 3-4 years younger and still all the endless upside. Even if he has to deal with at least one Tommy John surgery, if not more, this is a Sasaki who would be able to ramp back over a calendar year or so, and then you're going to have him under club control for likely a long period of time. That's what makes him so desirable, is not only the youth that you get in Roki Sasaki, making such an anomaly from other free agents, in this upcoming year's class right here, right now, at least heading into the offseason as the World Series will be here and out here, hopefully before we know it, because none of us Mets fans want anything to do with that, let's be honest here. But what we want everything to do is with Roki Sasaki and the potential of landing him. Now, listen, I would like to preface as a Mets fan again, we will break down every single key report regarding this Mets team, but I'm not going to be kind of the same fan that I have in my first couple years of covering, where every single report to me felt like that there was, a solid reality of it happening. When it comes to Roki Sasaki, I think the reality is very much there. I think the pursuit is heavy. There's no denying that the Mets have spent a lot of money to heavily pursue him and scout him right here, right now, but it doesn't change the fact that as we currently talk at the moment, the Mets are on the outside looking, and with the obvious and the Dodgers being the front man, Truland Sasaki, for all the reasons that we know clear about, even the league-wide coverage there, where you see literally a portion in Japan watching the Dodgers every single night because of Ohtani, because of Yamamoto, the endless Japanese sponsors they have. It's literally like its own thing there for Japanese fans to just be orchestrated and desired there with the Dodgers more than anything else. AJ Preller, the Padres, has been seeking Mr. Roki Sasaki heavily for a number of years now, and he'll be heavily in that pursuit yet again. You look at the Diamondbacks, they're a sneaky team. You always have to wonder what they're going to be up to, because they know what the Dodgers, the Padres, and others are going to do, and the Giants, and they know that they kind of need to make some key splashes because the Dodgers are going to continue to dominate. The Padres are still going to be a very good team. The Giants, who knows what their future holds, but certainly brighter with Buster Olney versus Farhan Zahidi, said everybody. So all I know is Roki Sasaki, a dominant phenom of a right-hander that we would love to see in Queens. Is it a reality? Not necessarily sure if that's the case, but is it a possibility right now? Absolutely. And as each and every report comes out, folks, we will break them down to an absolute T, as we always do here on the platform, folks. So thank you guys all so much for watching. Again, I greatly appreciate that. Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. Do you think Roki Sasaki is destined to land with the Mets or another team? And secondly, do you think he's even going to get posted by his team this offseason, or is that not even going to happen? Because why should they do that to then get such a small return when he could absolutely get a bigger bag and things waited longer and he's posted the traditional way there in the next number of years when he can officially be available and off his contract? Whatever your thoughts are, drop them down below. Thank you all so much for watching. When it comes to Mets content, we got you covered here every single day, 24/7, 365 on the #1 Mets platform, not directly affiliated with the Mets themselves. You guys can check out my work not only here on YouTube, but my recurring segments with SNY and the New York Post and Bleacher Report, where I do weekly coverage for them as well on not only the Mets, but MLB wide coverage. Thank you guys again. And as always, no matter what, let's go Mets, baby. Peace out.